Don't the profits from the hotel, though, still go eventually to Donald Trump? And isn't that potentially a conflict of interest?
Well, if you recall, Wolf, Section 208 of the Criminal Code, the president is exempt from conflicts of interest. And so it's somewhat of a non-issue because he's exempt from these types of things. He did lay out a process where he was going to wall that off what the Trump operations were doing versus what he's doing as president. But certainly the precedent is such that Congress of past has always come to the conclusion that the president should be exempt from these things, and they would know that they would have some degree of conflict.
Here's the question, Congressman, and I know you're going to be looking into this. Has he satisfied that commitment that he's made to sort of lock himself off? And what about the emolument clause of the U.S. Constitution?
Well, there's a lawsuit that's out there. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But again, I know it's surprising and frustrating to Democrats, but the president is exempt from these conflict of interest. So
he's not exempt from the emoluments clause. He's not exempt from the emoluments clause of the Constitution, is he?
He's required by law to do a financial disclosure, which by all accounts he has done and is complete. And I've never heard anybody complain specifically about that. He is, I think he should have introduced and made his tax returns available. He hasn't done that, but that's optional. And I am curious about this contract here, but I'm not about, as I've said before, I'm not going to go on this fishing expedition that the Democrats want us to go into. I think the public understood when they elected Donald Trump overwhelmingly that he had vast interests in a variety of businesses all around the globe. That is not breaking news. Everybody knew that when they voted for him. That was out there clearly. What he's required to do by law, as best I can tell, he has complied with in his financial disclosures.
Yeah, but I guess the whole issue, we all knew about his business and all of that, what he disclosed, what he didn't disclose, tax returns, he didn't disclose them. He had that explanation that he was under audit, he wasn't going to release them. But there's so many people who are asking, why doesn't it concern the chairman? I assume it does concern you. You're the chairman of this oversight committee that's looking at the executive branch of the U.S. government, that the president of the United States potentially could be in violation of the United States Constitution.
I just don't see it like that, Wolf. I just don't. I've looked at this. I've had people pepper me with information.
Do you want to have hearings? Should you have hearings on it?
No, look, I never did this type of investigation on Barack Obama. I never did this on Hillary Clinton. And unless there's some real cause to do it, I don't intend to do it on Donald Trump. There is nothing to suggest that he is profiteering in an unordinary way from the fact that he's the president of the United States. He does have vast interests in a variety of things. And you go look at him on the financial disclosures. But if there was something that rose to the surface that was extraordinary, of course we would look at it.
But I just want to point out,
Congressman,
Barack Obama, he didn't have any businesses. I don't think he had any businesses at all when he was elected president of the United States.
How did he walk out such a rich person?
He wrote books. He made a lot of money writing books. That's how he left.
Like I said,
he made all that money.
But
he didn't have 500 businesses like President Trump has.
Well, I didn't look at it into the Clintons either, and some people suggested that I probably should have. We're going to look at government expenditures, how they're administering the government, how taxpayer dollars are being used, how the administration is running things. That's what the Oversight and Government Reform Committee is set up to do. And until something rises to the surface that's extraordinary, I'm just not going to go on this fishing expedition.
I just want to be precise.
The possibility that something might have been going on.
Mr. Chairman, you want his tax returns to be released. You could subpoena those tax returns if you wanted to.
I could. The reality is, though, he's not required to do it by law, and so I don't think that's appropriate. I have said publicly on this show and on CNN, even before the election, and I say it here and again, I think if you're going to run for president, you should do a financial disclosure. I've suggested that there should also be a medical disclosure. I'm working on a bill that I hope I can do in a bipartisan way, that a candidate for president and vice president would have to go through a medical examination. So you get to have that information. I wish he had done the tax returns. It is tradition, but that doesn't mean that I should overuse the power that's vested in the Constitution that I have. in order to do something that's not required by law. Imagine if the executive branch did that to me,
Congressman,
to the
Mr.
legislative
Chairman,
branch.
why
That
would that be
inappropriate?
Why would that be an overuse of power to subpoena his tax returns just to make sure that everything was fine?
You know what? If the executive branch and the FBI did that to me, I think and we did it to all the members of Congress, they would be yelling and screaming, and rightfully so. You just don't go on fishing expeditions on doing this. You know, I did investigations, so-called Hillary Clinton investigations, because there were 4 people that were killed in Benghazi, because the Inspector General found that there was classified information in a non-classified setting. It was only upon that information that we started these investigations. I didn't start an investigation of Hillary Clinton before she took office, and I certainly did not do it of the Clinton family and their finances. That would have been wholly inappropriate. And I think the same is true with Donald Trump and whoever's in the office, no matter what political hat they're wearing.